Assalamu alaikum. Why isn't Hajj free for every Muslim? Sounds ridiculous, right? Perhaps you think impossible. I'm being naive, maybe crazy. But let me ask you something else. If I told you 10 years ago that ordinary Muslim families would one day pay £12,000, £15,000, even £20,000 for a Hajj package, most people would have laughed in disbelief. Yet today, we barely question it anymore. And that is where the real problem begins, with us. Our standards have fallen so low that exploitation now feels normal. The Ummah has become conditioned to decline. We see injustice so often that eventually we stop reacting to it. Almost like Bani Israel under the oppression of Fir'aun. Let's be honest. Today, free Hajj sounds as unrealistic to many Muslims as a free Palestine or a liberated Al-Aqsa. We cannot imagine an economy without riba or interest. We cannot imagine a politically united Ummah under a caliphate. We cannot imagine an Islamic civilization that serves the Muslims instead of exploiting them. So naturally, we cannot imagine a Hajj that is free, subsidised, or accessible to ordinary and every believer. So the first barrier is that we lack the vision. Maybe the real question isn't why isn't Hajj free, but why do we believe it never could be? Historically, Muslims did think differently. Under the Islamic civilization, the Khilafah rule, rulers understood that the pilgrims were the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said that the pilgrims performing Hajj and Umrah are the guests of Allah. Food, drink, water, accommodation even used to be free for the Haji caravans and pilgrims. Hajj was subsidized, funds were provided for poor pilgrims, taxes were abolished, roads, inns, network rail links, security was provided by the Islamic Caliphate for the Hajj pilgrims, all for free. Serving pilgrims was considered an honor, and this is the part many Muslims today have forgotten. So how did the pilgrimage of Ibrahim alayhi salam become a monopoly, subject to exploitation and commercial profiteering to the tune of billions by the house of Saud? And why is almost no one willing to discuss it openly? Because today the silence is deafening. Many scholars, speakers, organizations see the exploitation, but speaking openly comes with consequences. Criticized and suddenly visas disappear, banned from performing Umrah or Hajj, and worse still. So people stay quiet. But if the Ummah remains silent out of fear, then who will speak for ordinary Muslims? So the responsibility falls upon us here at 3MEB to speak up and call for the Kaaba to once again be cleansed of the idols of corruption, exploitation, nepotism, greed and capitalism, and to revive the idea that Hajj should be once again accessible to every Muslim, ordinary Muslims, not just the wealthy. Long before modern debates about pricing and accessibility, the idea of serving pilgrims at no cost was already embedded in the culture of Makkah. The Quraysh developed the traditions of rifada, feeding pilgrims, and siqaya, providing water to the pilgrims. And these were not commercial services but duties tied to honor and status as hosts of the sacred precinct. Figures like Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet ﷺ's own grandfather, were known for personally financing the feeding and watering of pilgrims during times of scarcity and drought. The logic was simple. The guests of the Kaaba should not be burdened by hunger or thirst. Service to pilgrims was seen as an honor, not a revenue stream. And did you even know that historical accounts suggest that early houses in Mecca didn't even have doors? Why? To signal to every traveler that this is your home, symbolizing that pilgrims were always welcome. And under the Khilafah Rashida and the great Islamic caliphates that followed, the state apparatus and institutions provided free provisions and services, subsidies, and eased the hardship of Hajj. The objective was never how much money can we make from the pilgrims. The objective was how can we serve the guests of Allah. Under the Umayyad Caliphate, Hajj routes were formally organized for safety and logistics. The office of the Amir al-Hajj was established to lead and protect pilgrimage caravans. Along key routes, particularly the Syrian, the Sham corridor, the state developed rest stations, i.e. service stations, water points, and secured stops providing shelter, food, support and protection for pilgrims crossing vast desert regions, all for free. Under the Abbasids, which is known as the golden age of Hajj infrastructure, the Abbasid Caliphate expanded Hajj infrastructure on an unprecedented scale, particularly as Muslim pilgrims were now travelling from Iraq and the wider eastern part of the Islamic Khilafah. One of the most significant developments was the Darb Zubaydah, a vast Hajj route stretching from Iraq to Mecca, featuring wells, rest stations and service stations across the desert. It was funded entirely by Zubaydah bin Ja'far after witnessing the severe hardship faced by pilgrims. The route included dozens of rest stations equipped with water reservoirs, food provision and accommodation facilities, effectively creating a life support system across the desert, all for free. And it doesn't stop there. Her engineering works, including the famous Zubaydah water system, helped channel water towards Mecca itself. Monumental public welfare project designed purely for service, not revenue. Now think about that for a moment. And Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimahullah abolished unjust taxes that had gradually become imposed on pilgrims by previous authorities. For centuries, Muslim scholars viewed exploiting of the pilgrims through excessive taxation as dishonorable and oppressive. And then came the Uthmani Caliphate, the Ottomans, the peak of institutionalizing Hajj service. Under the Ottoman Caliphs, Hajj became one of the most sophisticated state-sponsored logistical operations in the Muslim world. All state-funded public service, shifting the financial burden from the individual pilgrim to the treasury Baytul Mal of the Khilafah. Services provided across the entire journey of the pilgrim. You had the famous caravansaries, the free inn or service stations for travellers, free food, soup kitchens, distribution points along the route, free storage depots for food and water supplies, free medical services. Surgeons and physicians provided free medical care to pilgrims throughout the journey, free armed escorts and protection units for caravan security, wells, fountains, mosques and public bathhouses. And the Hijaz Railway in 1900, Sultan Abdul Hamid II ordered the construction of a modern railway to connect Damascus to Medina, reducing a 40-day trek to a mere 3-day journey, revolutionizing the Hajj for hundreds and thousands of people. That's a forgotten standard. Across centuries, the dominant historical pattern is clear. From Quraysh hospitality and norms to the Caliphate infrastructure to the Ottoman state logistics, the guiding principle remained the same. The guest of Allah should not be left to struggle alone. Today, the tragedy is not simply that Hajj has become expensive. The tragedy is that we've forgotten our heritage, forgotten the standards, and have accepted the new law of corruption, exploitation, and nepotism as normal. Now, if you want to understand why Hajj costs so much today, you have to follow the money trail. Understand who controls the Kaaba, Mecca and Medina, the people, the companies and the bodies behind the control, exploitation and the extortion. So who controls the system? Today, Hajj is a tightly controlled economic system. It's shaped at the very top by the Saudi state, specifically driven through the Public Investment Fund, the PIF, chaired by MBS. So now you have a $1 trillion sovereign wealth fund built on oil in charge of Mecca and Medina. Now imagine that for a moment. Putting a sovereign wealth fund in charge of Hajj, Mecca and Medina is like putting Trump and Kushner in charge of the sacred precincts. What is the objective of any investment fund? To drive maximum profits. The Public Investment Fund is not only behind Vision 2030, but it governs and controls directly and indirectly through subsidiary companies the entire Hajj infrastructure and ecosystem. From the infrastructure in Mecca, Medina, Mina, Arafah, Muzdalifah, right through to the hotels and accommodation, the airports, the airlines, the logistics, the expansion of Mecca and Medina. And here is the core reality. The same companies, the same bodies, the same individuals that control the holy sites, they are the ones who profit from them. Driven by capitalist, ruthless economics, it functions like any venture capitalist investment fund to drive maximum profits, commercialize everything, even the sacred. So this is how it works. The Saudi state, aka MBS, sets the strategy, Vision 2030. The PIF, the Public Investment Fund, funds and owns the master development companies. Those companies award contracts and partnerships to their own subsidiaries, and the same elite linked ecosystem executes the projects, all in the same extended family. So you end up with policymaker, investor, developer, contractor, operator, regulator, shareholder, all interlinked and all benefiting from each other. The same system sets the policies, controls the infrastructure, manages the experiences, and profits from it all. This isn't just control, that's corruption, exploitation, and nepotism at its peak. And here's where it becomes even clearer. The Public Investment Fund is managing over $1 trillion in assets, spending tens of billions every year. Mega projects, vanity projects like NEOM cost $500 billion, World Cup stadiums $400 billion. The fund has made major losses recently, including $30 billion in value loss from Lucid Motors, mega project losses, $8 billion write down on projects like NEOM, and falling returns dropped to 7.2%. This system needs constant revenue, and Hajj, Umrah provide this revenue. Guaranteed demand, millions of customers, zero competition. So they turn Hajj into an industry. And under this system, Hajj and Umrah are no longer just religious obligations. They're not sacred anymore. They are treated as religious tourism, a full economic sector worth $12 to $15 billion annually and targeted for massive expansion due to its economic worth. The result? So what happens? Hajj becomes a controlled market and a price-driven system. Prices are spiked, controlled, driven, and set based upon the spending power of each region. More the region can sustain, the higher the Hajj price. This is the key point. It's not just corruption, it's structural, going right to the top. A system where the state controls supply, the same state drives profit, the same system sets the price, and when the same authority controls access, infrastructure, and needs revenue, are you really surprised Hajj is now £15,000 to £20,000 a package? The system is designed to keep it that way. This isn't just influence, it's a complete conflict of interest, exploitation, corruption, and nepotism at its peak. The same system controls access, sets the rules, and profits from them all. Using law, regulation, and monopoly control, it drives prices as high as possible while ensuring there is no alternative. And when prices rise, the same system benefits from every increase. Under the Vision 2030 framework, the so-called guardians of the two holy mosques have effectively become managing directors of a high-yield investment portfolio. The holy cities are no longer just centers of worship, they are high-margin assets. Mecca is no longer just a sanctuary, it's treated like a prime real estate zone, where every square meter is designed to maximize revenue, a gold mine to extract as much gold as possible. The Kaaba is no longer the house of Allah, it's a high-yield investment portfolio. Hajj Umrah is no longer an ibadah, is now called religious tourism. Uhud, Badr, religious historical sites are tourist attractions, and the pilgrim is no longer a guest of Allah, but is a customer, a client, a consumer in a system. And there is no such thing as hospitality for the pilgrim. There is just extortion, corruption, and exploitation of the pilgrim to extract the biggest profits. Billions are needed, billions are generated annually. Targets of tens of millions of pilgrims is a system designed to expand revenue. It targets 30 million pilgrims annually and it wants to do Hajj business in the region of $30 billion a year. This is the exploitation we are witnessing today, and it is set to get only worse. For 1400 years, the sacredness of Hajj and the Hajj pilgrim, all gone. £20,000 for a platinum Hajj package, that's more than 700% increase. Now priced like a house deposit. Why the £12,000 or £15,000 or £20,000 price tag for Hajj? Think about it. What are people actually paying for? Let's look at the facts. In 2005, Hajj cost around £2,000 to £3,000. Today, £12,000 to £15,000 on average. Premium packages, £20,000 plus. That's more than 500% increase. You're told the costs are necessary. Some people try to justify them. Flights, hotels, infrastructure, they say, transport, logistics. Fine, let's examine that honestly. A return flight from the UK to Saudi Arabia at its peak will be anywhere between £800 to £2,000. Hotels, even the most expensive hotels in Mecca outside peak days, often average a few £100s per night. Transport, food, admin, staffing, add it all together generously even, and you still struggle to justify £10,000, never mind £15,000 or £20,000. So the issue is not simply cost. The issue is the system itself. The corrupt system is designed around control, restriction, licensing, commissions, and layered profiteering. Firstly, monopoly control. You cannot book independently. Everything goes through state-approved providers. They set the quotas, they set the price, like it or leave it policy. It's a control system. Secondly, every layer takes a cut. This is where the real extortion machine appears. You're not paying one company, you are paying multiple layers of profit extraction stacked on top of each other. So for example, the package provider, they have a markup. The hotel has a commission markup. The transport has their own margins. The visa processing has their own margins. The platforms have their own margins, so etc. etc. So the same pilgrim is getting monetized again, and again. Thirdly, taxing the pilgrimage. Saudi has increased VAT from 5% to 15%. That's 15% VAT on your hotels, your food, your transport, your services without you even knowing. Every stage of the pilgrimage is a taxable transaction. Even refunds and booking processes can carry additional charges. And fourthly, the death of independent Hajj. Historically, Muslims traveled to Hajj by caravan, by ship, by land routes across Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. They spent months traveling with almost no wealth to very little wealth. Today, try bypassing the modern system. Try traveling independently. You risk fines, restrictions, permit violations, and legal consequences. The modern structure has effectively criminalized the Hajj of the poor. The pilgrimage is harshly and firmly state controlled with all the powers. 5. Different Muslims, different prices. Now comes one of the most uncomfortable realities. Not everybody pays the same price for Hajj. Pilgrims from parts of Asia and Africa often pay dramatically less than pilgrims from Britain, Europe, or North America. Yet many stay in the same areas and use the same infrastructure. So why the huge difference? Because pricing is based not on the actual cost, but on the perceived purchasing power of the area. In simple terms, they charge you what they think you can afford, not what Hajj actually costs. Number 6, the Umrah contradiction. And this completely exposes the narrative because Umrah reveals the truth. Same cities, same airports, same hotels, same buses, same infrastructure. Yeah, Umrah packages can often cost maybe £2,000 to, let's say, a maximum of £5,000. So why does the Hajj suddenly jump to 10, 15 or even £20,000? Because the difference is not just the logistics, the difference is quotas, control, monopoly and extraction. Hajj access is tightly restricted to quotas and licensing systems, creating an artificial pressure cooker where prices are deliberately inflated. So where is all this money going? Your hard-earned Hajj savings are being diverted from the Haramain to fund the 2034 World Cup bids and stadiums, to fund the vanity projects like NEOMs, the line, and the financial gaps of a regime desperate for Vision 2030 to succeed. You aren't paying for a hotel, you're subsidizing MBS's failed political agenda. Think about it. Saudi oil revenue fluctuates, but often is between $150 to $200 billion a year. The point? The state could easily subsidize visas and car logistics to reduce global packages cost by 50% without touching its fiscal health. It chooses not to. The question is why? Because Hajj is now a public-private partnership designed to enrich the connected elite and fund Vision 2030 mega vanity projects, not a sacred duty requiring net subsidy. Is the Kaaba, Mecca or Medina even truly safe from MBS? Not physically or structurally, but politically, spiritually, institutionally, and absolutely not. There is no doubt that MBS has worked relentlessly to wipe away the sacredness, the spirituality from Mecca, from Hajj, from the sacred precincts, its surroundings through his commercialization, Manhattanization, and the abuse of power. Not satisfied with turning the sacred obligation into a cash crop, he is now turning to technology also, Pegasus, AI, facial recognition, big data, Hajj, to further assert his ultimate control. Reports from right groups, journalists and political activists describe pilgrims as being monitored, screened and profiled, punished for political opinions, detained after entering the kingdom for Hajj or Umrah. Pilgrimage has reportedly become a trap. Tweets posted years earlier, comments critical of Mohammed bin Salman MBS, support for political prisoners, even symbolic gestures of solidarity, all can potentially place pilgrims under scrutiny, and the message being sent is deeply dangerous. You can visit the house of Allah, but only if your politics are approved by the house of Saud. That fundamentally changes the nature of the sanctuary and the surveillance. Reports emerged during 2024-2025 during the Gaza genocide that pilgrims were allegedly being detained, questioned or removed from displaying symbols associated with solidarity, including Palestinian flags and political expressions connected to Gaza. Access to the Haram depends upon political obedience. Who does the Haram belong to? This is the question increasingly being asked across the Muslim world. So who does the Haram belong to? The House of Saud, Public Investment Fund, or the Ummah? The House of Saud's abuse of its position of so-called custodian of the two holy mosques is long over. It has shown it has only abused its responsibility as a controller. Sacred institutions are not automatically safe simply because they are sacred. Masjid al-Aqsa remains under occupation. Religious institutions across the Muslim world have repeatedly been manipulated by rulers, colonial powers, dictators, and political elites. And then there's the weaponization of visas and political control. Every Muslim majority country depends on Saudi-issued Hajj quotas, and these quotas have increasingly become tools of political pressure and diplomatic reward. When relations improve, the quotas expand, and when relations deteriorate, access tightens. But the greatest danger is the gradual normalization of control. When Muslims become accustomed to the idea that access to Hajj can be politically controlled, religious expression can be state managed. Today, many Muslims feel trapped. If you criticize the system, you risk being labeled political, extreme, divisive, or even being denied future access to Hajj and Umrah. So the Ummah stays silent, silent on Gaza, silent on normalization, silent on corruption and exploitation. It pays the increasing cost, accepts the exploitation, watches the transformation of the sacred precincts into luxury commercial zones, and convinces itself that silence is piety. But silence in the face of oppression has never been the way of this Ummah. The Haram does not belong to the House of Saud. The Kaaba does not belong to kings. Mecca and Medina belong to the entire Ummah. It is widely narrated and reported that Salahuddin Ayyubi rahimullah, he longed to perform Hajj, yet he never did Hajj. Why not? Because he believed the needs of the Ummah came first. While Jerusalem remained occupied, while Muslim lands remained divided, while the Crusaders threatened the Ummah, while Al-Quds cried for liberation, He spent his entire wealth, his life defending Muslims, supporting the poor and uniting fractured lands. Historians report that when he died, he left behind almost nothing in personal wealth. Now contrast that with today. Today, however, we have reversed the priorities. We believe in silence, comfort. We obsess over repeated Umrahs and Hajj and remain silent while Gaza burns and Al-Quds remains occupied and Sudan collapses and Muslims face persecution across the world. Surveillance and authoritarian control expand within the Haramain itself. The question is not whether Hajj is sacred. Of course it is. The question is whether Muslims are willing to remain silent while the sacred is commercialized, politicized, and controlled. Islamic history already gives us warnings. The tribes of Jurhum were once custodians of the Kaaba, but when they resorted to corruption and abuse emerged, that custodianship was removed from them. Custodianship in Islam is not a divine blank check, it is a trust, and every trust comes with accountability. Today, many Muslims are asking difficult questions. Why are pilgrims paying obscene costs? Why are independent scholars silent? Why is surveillance expanding around the Haramain? Why are political activists imprisoned while luxury tourism projects flourish? Why are Muslims expected to remain silent out of fear of losing visa access? They are not extreme questions, they are legitimate concerns of the Ummah. Every year Muslims say, what can we do? We just want to perform Hajj. But refusing to question exploitation enables exploitation. Remaining silent while corruption grows does not protect the sanctity of Hajj, it weakens it. If Muslims refuse to speak because they fear being blacklisted for future Umrah trips, then that should alarm every believer. Demanding accountability from the House of Saud is a sacred obligation. Demanding fair pricing, demanding dignity for pilgrims, protecting of the sanctity of the Haram, and freedom for sincere scholarly criticism should be normal expectations within the Muslim world. The Haramain are not corporate assets. They are an amana upon the necks of those who administer them. So what can Muslims actually do? This conversation must move into an organized action. Practical steps include 1. Raise awareness within communities and masajids amongst your families. 2. Encourage independent scholarly discussion without fear. 3. Refuse these luxury package culture that turns Hajj into status symbolism. 4. Build international Muslim civil society groups focused on protecting the sanctity and the accessibility of Hajj. The real question is not whether Muslims love Hajj. The question is whether Muslims love justice enough to defend the sanctity of Hajj from exploitation, fear, and unchecked power. History teaches us something very clearly. When Muslims stop holding rulers accountable, corruption grows around even the holiest institutions. And when the Ummah finally speaks, history changes. Can Hajj ever truly be affordable again? Yes, if the Ummah changes its mindset. Not under the House of Saud will it be, but under a future Islamic caliphate, when Hajj, the pilgrim, returns to being a guest of Allah and not a consumer. The Haramain belongs to the Ummah. Makkah and Medina are not merely tourist destinations or economic assets. They are sacred trusts. The Kaaba was built by Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismail alayhi salam for the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not for unchecked profiteering, fair politics or elite prestige culture. And throughout history, whenever corruption surrounded sacred institutions, sincere believers were required to stand up and speak. My final message, this campaign is not against Hajj, it is for Hajj. It is not against the Haramain, it is for protecting the dignity and sanctity of the Haramain. It is demanding accountability from the rulers. The Ummah deserves better than endless price rises, exploitation of pilgrims, fear-driven silence, commercial excess around the Kaaba, and luxury spirituality for the wealthy while ordinary Muslims struggle for decades. The Haram should unite the Ummah, not become another symbol of inequality. And perhaps the first step towards change is simply this: refusing to stay silent anymore, refusing to put our hard-earned money into the hands of exploitation, and working towards the re-establishment of the Islamic Caliphate, which will look after the holy lands including Al-Aqsa as the previous generations did. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.